My story begins like no good stories ever begin, in the bathroom. I was sitting in the bathroom stall of my favorite restaurant in Hong Kong. I had eaten Mongolian grill that night, and it was not setting very well with me. And I'd been there for about 20 minutes, making all of the sounds and smells that you don't really talk about in polite or impolite company. It wasn't my stomach that was concerning me, though. It was the man in the stall next to me who was standing on the toilet seat. He had earphones in his ears and a pillowcase pulled down over his head, and his arm was draped over the stall into my stall, and we were connected by handcuffs. That's where it was weird. It was June 30th, 1997, the night of Hong Kong's handover from Britain to China, and I wanted to celebrate it in some outstanding way. I'd been living and working in Hong Kong for about 4 years, and I'd been there with my husband, and I was ready to head back to the States on my birthday 3 days later. But I thought, what can I do that's going to be so memorable and such an epic story that I'll enjoy it? And when my friend told me that he was doing a fundraiser for an orphanage in China, I thought, great, I'm in. He told me it was a way to bring East and West together. So he was matching up men and women from China or from Hong Kong and from anywhere in the West, basically, because there was everybody there from Australia and Britain and the States. And we would be handcuffed together for 24 hours. We collected pledges, and we met at a hotel for lunch. It was there that I met Wayne, who was the guy on the other end. He was 7 years older than I, a Chinese man who was a chain smoker. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I hate smoking. I hate the smell of it. I hate what it does to people, and I hate what it does to the people around the person who's smoking. I could tell he smoked because when he walked into the hotel restaurant, he let out his last cigarette puff. And I saw him come in a cloud of smoke. He walked across the room toward me, and my friend said, "That's your partner." And I said, "Please get me someone else. Anyone." He said, "No, everybody's matched up. Are you going to let the children in China not have these funds?" So Wayne sat down next to me. He sat down next to me, and we started talking and getting to know each other a little bit. Right at noon, we got handcuffed together, and we were getting along okay, and I thought this could be okay. So we went out into the streets of Hong Kong and walked around for a bit and just talked and got to know each other better. And eventually, we went to dinner. That's where the whole bathroom thing happened. But over dinner, before the bathroom thing, we talked about what we wanted to do. There was a scavenger hunt list that they had given us that we could do or not do, but there would be prizes, and he wanted to win. One of the scavenger hunt things was to get a really memorable picture. And he said, "Why don't we go up to the Chinese border and get our picture taken there under the big sign?" I said, "Sure, I've never been. I'm game. Why not?" So we hopped on the train to the Chinese border, and about partway there, we saw two Chinese policemen get on board. He said, "Let's double our chances at this prize and get a picture with them." I said, I don't know that that's such a great idea. But by the time I was ready to say something, he was busy dragging me across the train. So we went up to the police, and he told them in Chinese what we were doing. He had to translate everything for me because the only Chinese that I knew was swear words from the graphic staff on my magazine, and I didn't think that this was an appropriate place for that. So he did all of the talking, and he told them what we were doing, and he showed them the handcuffs. Their tone changed right away. That's when they said, "You are suspicious people," in Chinese, he translated, and they insisted that we go to the police station with them. So we got off at the next station with them and walked the few blocks to the police station. Wayne was busy smoking the entire way because he knew he wouldn't be able to smoke in the police station. Sure enough, we got there and they put us in the interrogation room. Those squeaky metal chairs and the big empty table and the tiny room with the big bulb light bulb hanging over. I was mortified. I had never been in trouble with the police before, never been a suspicious anything, and here I was in an interrogation room with a Chinese man I really didn't know. There was a constant stream of police people who came in. They wanted to try their own keys in our handcuffs. Sure enough, they were police issue handcuffs. And so of course their keys worked, but we couldn't let them completely undo us. We did have them loosen it a little bit because we'd gotten a little tight, but overall we couldn't have them open them completely. But they were assured that sure enough, yeah, they are police handcuffs. And wow, what are you two doing? Wayne told them that we were doing this fundraiser. Yes, it was consensual on both of our parts. No, this was not anything that they needed to be concerned about. They held us for 4 hours. So that's 4 hours with no cigarettes. 1, 2, more police coming in. He was getting more irritated. I was getting more anxious. I was busy texting my friend to say, please come get us. Please do something. Please call anybody. I don't care what you do. Call Chris Patton. He's got to know something. He was the governor guy who was leaving on a plane at midnight because Britain's done. He could do nothing. So finally, after 4 hours, and I pictured myself in a Chinese prison, not getting home on July 3rd. That was going to be so mortifying for me. But suddenly, the lights came down from heaven, and I heard the angels sing, and our Savior walked in the door. The British commanding officer, really handsome guy, took a couple of big strides across the room as he laughed at us. I read about this in the paper this morning, he said, but I didn't think anybody would be stupid enough to come this far north. It's his fault. He's the one who wanted the picture on the border. He said, I don't recommend that at all. You really need to turn around and go back to Central where all of the Westerners are. I said, that sounds good to me, but would you be willing to take a picture with us? He said, sure, and he called one of his officers out, and we went out in the front of the building and got a picture taken with him. Once that was done, Wayne and I hopped back on the train into the middle of Hong Kong, into central Hong Kong, and joined the rest of our party for the big party. We were at the top of the building and we watched the fireworks over the harbor, the British fireworks before midnight, the Chinese fireworks after midnight. The Chinese throw a much better fireworks display. At the end of that, we hopped on the ferry to go to my apartment where my husband was waiting for us. He had set up the sofa bed in the living room, pulled it out, put a row of pillows between us. Like that's going to stop anything, but you know. And he sat in the rocking chair where he eventually fell asleep, but he was standing guard. So the next morning, thankfully, we slept in a little bit because we were exhausted from our adventures the evening before. And we went back to the hotel for our uncuffing lunch, and we were uncuffed. And everything was fine. I got on the plane. I came home. Everything was wonderful. The best part of the evening, of the whole day, though, was that with that picture, we won first prize. Thank you.